As a woman, you have to know yourself. That is the only way to win this war that we are in against men. They prey on you not trusting yourself, not knowing yourself, and they hope that you are seeking to know yourself through them. Never trust a man to tell you who you are because men are liars. They could never afford to tell you the truth about who you really are because then you know you would have no business dealing with them. World is based on mind and body. That is your soul. Your soul is literally your integrated mind and body. So this is the reason why patriarchy attacks the body to get you to feel shame and guilt related to your sexuality, to your physical being, always feeling like you're never good enough, like you have to do more, always being paranoid, always being insecure. That is a weapon of patriarchy. When it comes to your mind, it's telling you to not trust your emotions, saying that emotions make you weak, it makes you less than, telling you that your logic, you're not even allowed to have your own logic under patriarchy as a woman, because the only logic that's valid is whatever a man wrote in a motherfucking book. Whatever a man said, that's the only valid logic in this world. So what is really logic? It's just regurgitated bullshit that just so happens to coincide directly to whatever the fuck patriarchy wants you to think. They don't want you thinking for yourself. That's why they try to say you're not capable of thinking. They try to make you feel inferior or less than or wrong for thinking for yourself, thinking outside of the terms of patriarchy. So women have to take back control of themselves. They have to come into true alignment within their minds and within their bodies. This has everything to do with self-trust. It's about building up your intuition. This is why meditation is so important. Breath work is so important. You have to start listening and paying attention to not only your own internal voice, but you have to listen to the aches and the pains inside of your body, not ignoring it because you don't believe you're worth fixing, because you think that hurting is just normal, that's just the way that it's supposed to be. No, the aches and pains is your body's way of communicating to you. You have to let your body know that you're listening to it by responding to the pain. This can be through stretching, through physical, if it is physical exercise, if it is breath work, if it is, a diet or a lifestyle change of like what you eat, or maybe you need to take a day or so or whatever of fasting. Like, that's the true response that you're supposed to have. Not neglect, nurturing. That's what people don't understand. The first person you have to, and really the person that you need to nurture as a woman, is yourself. They weaponize the concept of love. Love is not anything what they've been telling you that it is. It's nothing. I don't even have time to explain this. I've talked in depth about it over so many years. Love does not exist the way that they tell you. You cannot find love in a man. A man cannot find love in a woman. That's not how that works. Love is who you are. It's knowing who you are. That's part of it. That's the power of it. And when you have that, you're not going to need anyone else to tell you who you are, to tell you how to be, to tell you what you're supposed to do on a day-to-day basis, to tell you what it's like to be a woman, to tell you what it's like to be you. Nobody can tell you that. Not a man, not a friend, not a parent, not a teacher, not a boss, a supervisor. No one can tell you who you are or who you're supposed to be. This world teaches you to be codependent. It teaches you to seek outside of yourself. That's why people are so weak. That's why people fall into these situations of codependency and abuse and depending on other people for survival and for love and for care. Because first of all, they're not capable of giving it to themselves, knowing that they already have it inside of them. And this is also why so many people are dependent on validation. They need the validation of other people. They need direction and guidance from other people, because the truth is they don't know who they are. Most people are lost. They are confused. And when you're in that state of being lost, like we've all fucking been there, of course. I sometimes I get lost. Every now and the motherfucker again, I still get lost to this motherfucking day. But I've learned more and more when I get lost, what is the quickest way back home? And most importantly, where is home? And that is what has helped me on my journey. I understand that home isn't, oh, I'm feeling lost, I'm feeling scared, I don't know what direction to go in life. Let me go hop in a relationship. Let me go get validation from this person. Let me go seek validation from here. No, I know that the only way to not be lost is to come back to me and sit with myself and remember who the fuck I am. Never give anyone the power to uplift you, because you give them equal, if not more power to be able to bring you back down again. That power is for you and for you alone. The knowledge of who you are, trusting who you are. I want this. And we are in a war. Know that. Remember that. But understand that this war is not out of wisdom. This is not a war of wisdom. This is a war of fear. That's the problem that we're having. It's people, men, who are scared, who are terrified, who are lost and confused about what they are, what they're supposed to be, how they're supposed to be, and they're just fucking winging it, and they're too scared to admit they don't know what the fuck they're doing. And then they're leading everybody else astray by proxy. Fear is dangerous. Fear isn't always intentional, but fear is always dangerous, because a person in fear will do things to survive. A person in fear usually oftentimes feel like their identity or their life, their existence is in threat. That's how you got to understand. That's how most people operate, in a state of fear. Especially men. They're the most fucking scared. So you have to understand that. But people in fear will do things out of character. They will do things in an act and in an attempt. Did I say that right? And in an attempt to survive. So you gotta, somebody who want to survive, what that mean? That mean their back is up against the wall. When your back is up against the wall, what kind of shit did you do? Would you have done that if circumstances were different, if you weren't in a tight position, if you weren't in a desperate position, if you didn't feel like it was life or fucking death, would you have done that? So you got to understand, most of these people, especially men, are moving with their backs against the wall every fucking day. And it's not even always a physical threat, but it's just about the simplicity of identity. As human beings, identity is everything. An individual that operates from their ego, identity is everything. So this is where these people are moving from. Identity matters because identity is equal to mattering in this world. And for most of us, that's all we want. Not only to exist, but to matter in this existence. So we create things. We do things in an attempt to maintain that identity. Your identity is your power. Don't let a motherfucker try to define you. That's how you give your power away. Whenever you let someone tell you who you are, whenever you seek for validation from outside of yourself, somebody else just took your power. You just gave your power away. You relinquished it. Power is knowing who you are without a shadow of a motherfucking doubt. Maybe you forget sometimes. Maybe you don't always know. The journey ain't motherfucking perfect. But never, when you realize this, never let someone else tell you who you are. If you're gonna be wrong about who you, if your identity's gonna be a lie, let you be the one who told that fucking lie, so you can untell it and start living in the truth.